Hi Paula, welcome to my kitchen. I was making dinner the other night and I was cooking some asparagus because it's spring and the young asparagus is just perfect right now. And I was trying to come up with a way to kind of change it up a little bit. And I actually got thinking about my mother-in-law, Ruth, who passed away at the ripe old age of 92. She was a wonderful Southern gal. She had that Southern charm that I'm sure you and many of the real women of Philadelphia can relate to. My husband used to say that she could charm the wings off of a fly, but she was a great lady. And as I was creating this recipe for my asparagus, I got thinking about her cooking. She used to love to cook canned vegetables, including things like asparagus, and she would put them on the stove and boil them at a hard boil for about an hour. She didn't like to use fresh vegetables either. She preferred those canned ones. So when I had this asparagus and kind of got thinking about her, I decided to do something different with asparagus. So today I'm going to make my Asian fusion asparagus, and I'm going to start with my Kraft Philadelphia cream cheese. I have about 4 ounces that I've cut up into little squares. And we're just going to put them in here and let them melt down a little bit. Now the great thing about Miss Ruth, my mother-in-law, with that charm of hers, she would say things sometimes and I was never quite sure if she was actually complimenting me or insulting me. You know, if it was the weekend and I was in my sweats, what I call my fat clothes, she might say something like, "Martha," that's what she called me, "Martha. Martha, if I were to be shopping for you for your birthday and getting you some new clothes, what size would I be looking for these days?" And of course, you know, I would either burst into tears and run from the room, or she and my husband would get laughing and I'd realize that she was just teasing me. But that's just the way Ruth was. That was part of her charm, and I loved her very much. Now while my cream cheese is getting soft and smooth in here, I have 3 tablespoons of sesame seeds, and I'm going to put them in a dry frying pan and toast them up. And that won't take very long. I have my stove set again at about medium, and just every once in a while I'm going to shake them up a little bit. And this will make them nice and brown and fragrant. Okay, my cheese is starting to soften up. And now I'm going to add 2/3 of a cup of milk and just kind of swirl it in here and get it well incorporated. And I'm going to let it cook down just a little bit. Now, Ruth, who lived in Virginia, used to come and visit us here in New York after we moved up here from the Virginia area. And she would come up every summer for about 2 weeks. And she liked to come in the summer when it was good and hot. And I came home from work one night while she was here, and it was about 100 degrees out and 100% humidity. And there I was in my little suit and high heels and stockings. And I walked in the house, and it was literally like a steam bath in here. And I couldn't understand why. It was so hot and humid. And I came into the kitchen and she was sitting at the table and she had started her dinner. And she had a little meatloaf in the oven at 400 degrees. And she had taken my big stock pot and had that on the stove with about 10 gallons of water in it. And that was boiling on high with 1 little ear of corn in it. And then in the other pan, she had some canned asparagus, and that too was boiling like crazy. And I couldn't believe it. I was so hot, the sweat was running down my face, and I came in and just started turning everything down and putting on the fans. And she looked at me and she said, "Martha?" And I kind of glared at her, and she said, "Are you going through the change of life? Because you sure are sweating a lot." And under my breath, all I could think was, "Lady, you're lucky that I'm not, because I could snap right about now and end up in jail for the rest of my life for what I could do to you." But that's the way she was. She would say things like that, and you just had to laugh it off. Okay, so now back to my Asian fusion. Oh, what I wanted to say was she eventually took that asparagus that she had boiled down to nothing, and she drained it, and then she put some evaporated milk over it and put it back on the stove, and that was her sauce for her asparagus, which is what has led me to try to be a little bit more experimental with mine. So, my sauce is nice and thick and creamy, and I'm going to add some Szechuan stir-fry sauce. Now you can buy this right in the Asian aisle in your store, and it's great for stir-fries. But it has a wonderful flavor, so I'm going to just spoon that right in here into my sauce. And then I'm going to add some soy sauce. Add that in. And some powdered ginger. And I'm going to mix that all in really well. Now the last thing I'm going to do for the sauce, I'm going to take about a tablespoon of the toasted sesame seeds. They're nice and brown and fragrant. And I'm going to put them right in here. And we'll turn this off because we're going to save these for the topping. We'll get it stirred in. And now let's assemble our dish. Alright, let's assemble this Asian fusion asparagus. First of all, I have some beautiful spring asparagus. Look at this, it's small and tender. And you know, asparagus is a wonderful vegetable, and you don't really want to destroy the taste of it by boiling it for hours at a time or throwing evaporated milk over it. So hopefully this recipe is just going to make it delectable. So I placed it right here in my casserole dish. Now I have some panko breadcrumbs and the rest of my toasted sesame seeds that I'm going to throw in there, and some melted butter. And I'm going to mix this all up. This is going to be the topping on our asparagus. Now we'll take this delectable sauce. Look at that. It's my Philadelphia cream cheese sauce with an Asian flair. It's going to be wonderful. We're just going to pour that right over the asparagus. I want to get every last drop because it is so delicious. And you can actually smell it right now. It smells very Asian and a little bit spicy. We love it. We like to have our food spicy. I actually have a sign that a friend gave me that's hanging over there above the kitchen window, a big wooden sign, and it says, "Hot and spicy, gotta love it," and that's perfect for us love-its here. Okay, I'll put that right there. And now we're going to take these panko breadcrumbs and sesame seeds, and we're just going to put them over the top. Good. So we'll put a lid on it, and into the oven she goes. Alright, my Asian fusion asparagus is out of the oven, and look at how beautiful it is with the crispy panko crumbs on top, and just how wonderful to be able to take nice young spring asparagus and mix it with our wonderful Philadelphia cream cheese and my other Asian inspired ingredients. Isn't that just wonderful? Now I know that my southern mother-in-law Ruth is up there in heaven right now looking down at me and saying, "Martha, you gotta love it."